Okay, so in this video, we're going to take a look at how to scan for stocks that have recently had a hammer candlestick pattern. So here I am in my Thinkorswim platform. What I want to do is I go up here to the Scan tab, and then under Scan, go to Stock Hacker. And first, I'm going to just set up a very basic stock scan. So I'll start by saying Add Filter. I'll say Stock, and we'll say Last Price. We're going to look for stocks that are just trading between, say, $10 and for this example, let's just say $500. So that's our first criteria. And then I want to make sure that the stocks we're looking at have plenty of volume. So I'll add another filter. I'll click Add Filter. I'll say Stock. And here I'll go down to Volume. Right there. And I'll say a minimum volume of, let's say, 500,000 shares. And then the max we'll just leave at the default. So after we have those two, the next filter will be the filter to look for the actual hammer candlestick pattern. So I'll click on Add Filter, and I'll say Study. And here under Study, I'll click on this pull-down menu, and I'll come down to where it says Bullish Only Candlestick Patterns. And then that will cause the second window to open up. And right here, the second one on the list, you can see is Hammer. So I'll select Hammer. And for this example, I'll just leave these settings just as they are. And then I just click Scan. And you can see after I click Scan, it brought up this list of stocks where the candlestick pattern occurred today. So let's just take a look at one of them. Let's just say, let's look at TripAdvisor. So let's look at the chart on TripAdvisor. So here's the chart, and we'll zoom in here on today. And you can see that today there was a hammer candlestick. Let's look at one more real quick. Let's just say Black Knight. We'll look at the chart. Here's the chart of Black Knight. Let's zoom in on today. And here you can see the hammer candlestick. Now, if we want to find stocks which have already had the hammer and the confirmation bar, we need to set this scan up a little differently. So let's just delete this last one here, and then we'll add a new one. We'll say Add Filter, Add Study. And then in this pull-down menu, I'll come down and I'll select Custom. And that will bring up this second window here. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to delete this default ADX crossover. And then I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say Add Condition. And that will cause this second floating window to open up. I'll come up here to select a condition, and I'll say Study, and then I'll scroll down until I find Hammer. So there's Hammer, and for this example, I'll just leave these default settings as they are. But in this middle column, I'll scroll down and I'll select Is True. And then in this right-hand side window, it allows me to enter in the number of days back to look for that hammer. So a confirmation bar would occur on day 2, and the entry day would appear on day 3. So just to get the full range, let's type in 3 here. And again, what this is saying is that this will look back and find stocks that had a hammer candlestick within the last 3 bars or the last 3 days. So after I've typed 3 in there, I'll just save that. And then on this window, I'll just say OK. So there's that filter all set up. And then I'll just come over here and click on Scan. And then that list will appear. So let's take a look at a couple of these real quick. Let's look at bin. So here's the chart of bin, and let's zoom in here on today. So you can see that yesterday there was a hammer candlestick. However, today there was no confirmation bar. Today the candlestick traded below. So let's look at another one real quick. Let's look at, let's say, Goldman Sachs. So here's Goldman Sachs. And you can see here's the hammer, but there was no confirmation bar today. So we would not have gotten into this trade. However, if we look back on this chart, you can see that there was a hammer here, and then here's the confirmation bar, traded above the hammer. And then the third bar on the hammer did take out the high, which could have signaled an entry and gotten us into a position that would have worked out really well.